right, so get ready because today we are going like deep diving,
Yeah.
into a Superman story.
Oh, yeah.
And it's asking a pretty interesting question, I think.
Okay.
Like, what happens to hope when like the whole universe just goes dark?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
We're looking at DC Comics' new Absolute Superman.
Right.
And it's safe to say this isn't exactly the Man of Steel you're used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Our source material is an article by Screen Rant
Okay.
that goes into the first issue. And even the title is telling. I had my doubts, but Absolute Superman truly understands the Man of Steel.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to unpack what makes this Superman tick,
Okay.
how he's different,
Yeah.
and whether he truly embodies that classic Superman spirit,
Right.
despite being dropped into a much harsher world.
And that world,
Yeah.
this Absolute universe, is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's literally been reshaped by the energy of Darkseid.
Oh, wow.
So imagine a reality where even the playing field is tilted towards despair.
Okay, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But before we get too deep into the cosmic stuff,
Yeah.
let's start with Superman himself.
Okay.
The article highlights a surprising twist in his origin right from the beginning.
Right. We get a flashback to Krypton,
Okay.
but this isn't the Jor-El you're familiar with.
Okay.
In this universe, he's part of the Labor Guild.
Yeah.
And when he discovers Krypton is doomed,
Right.
nobody believes them.
But seriously, they just ignore him?
Essentially, yeah, because of his social standing, they dismiss him as some kind of crackpot.
Wow.
Which, for anyone who's ever felt like their voice wasn't being heard,
Yeah.
is instantly relatable, right?
Totally. And that's such a departure from the classic Superman origin,
Yeah.
where Jor-El is this, like, respected scientist.
Right.
I'm already seeing how this sets up a different kind of Kal-El.
Yeah.
One who understands injustice from a very personal angle.
Exactly. It's not just theoretical for this Superman. It's baked into his experience.
Yep.
And if we connect that to the fact that he's not even in Metropolis.
Hold on, he's not in Metropolis.
Nope.
Where is he then?
We find him in Brazil working alongside exploited miners.
Oh, wow.
It's a nod to those Golden Age Superman stories,
Yeah.
where he was more of a champion of the working class, fighting corrupt systems.
Oh, that's a cool connection.
Yeah.
I love those little details that reward longtime fans.
Right.
So it's not just the universe that's darker.
Right.
Superman's origins are more grounded in real-world struggle.
Absolutely. And that struggle is front and center in his very first action scene.
Okay.
He confronts the Lazarus Corporation's peacemakers,
Mm-hmm.
basically a private army for corporate interests.
All right, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
How does Superman take on these peacemakers?
Yeah.
Does he still have all the classic powers?
Oh, yeah. He's got the super strength heat vision that works.
Okay.
But there's also this AI built into his suit named Sol,
What?
giving him tactical support.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like Iron Man meets Superman.
Hold on, Sol the AI.
Yeah.
That's got to be a play on Superman's solar powers, right? I
Yeah.
love those little nods.
Yeah.
But even with the tech, I bet this fight is epic.
It is. He tears through these peacemakers.
Wow.
Even though they've got some pretty advanced tech, supposedly from other worlds.
Oh, wow.
But they manage to retreat
Okay.
and call in their elite team,
Okay.
the Phenomena Field team, and get this,
Don't tell me it's Lex Luthor leading them.
not quite.
Oh.
It's Agent Lois Lane.
Whoa. Talk about shaking up the classic dynamic.
Yeah.
That's not the intrepid reporter we're used to.
Yeah.
Is she an enemy now?
It's definitely a twist.
How does that test Superman's hope in humanity,
Yeah.
especially given his upbringing?
Right. And while all this is going down, there's a mysterious figure watching,
Okay.
collecting bottled cities.
Bottled cities. Now that's intriguing.
Yeah.
It ties into this idea of Darkseid's influence being more than just physical.
Right.
What does it say about controlling hope? Or even memories?
Right.
On a cosmic scale, this is already getting deep, and we're only in issue 1.
Right. And it all goes back to how this absolute universe was created.
Great.
Darkseid went toe-to-toe with the Justice League,
Right.
and even though they defeated him,
Mm-hmm.
his energy essentially rewrote reality.
So it's not just a slightly different Earth.
Right.
It's fundamentally altered by this force of anti-hope.
Yeah,
That's a heavy burden for anyone, even Superman.
exactly. It really raises the stakes for everything.
Yeah.
We know Superman is strong,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you fight an enemy who's woven into the very fabric of existence?
And how does he hold on to hope when the universe itself seems to be working against him? This is where things get really interesting, right? This is where we see what Superman is truly made of.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to explore next. How this Superman, despite all these differences, still embodies the core of what makes the character so enduring.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, we've talked about this absolute universe being darker and Superman's origin being like twisted.
Yeah.
But the article drops another bombshell.
Okay.
This Superman's connection to Krypton might be even deeper than we thought.
Right. The Screen Rant article hints that his origin has been, like, permanently redefined,
Wow.
and he might not have left Krypton as a baby like we're used to seeing.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
Did he actually grow up on Krypton?
It seems like he spent a significant part of his childhood there,
Wow.
experiencing firsthand the rigid social structure that doomed the planet.
Okay.
Remember how Jor-El was dismissed because of his social standing?
Right?
Imagine young Kal-El witnessing that.
Yeah.
Seeing his own father,
Right.
a brilliant scientist,
Yeah.
being ignored because of prejudice.
Man, talk about shaping your worldview.
Right.
No wonder this Superman is so driven to fight for the little guy.
Yeah.
It's not just a sense of justice, it's deeply personal.
Exactly, and it adds this tragic layer to his origin. He carries the weight of Krypton's failure, its inability to listen to reason, into his battles on Earth.
So he's not just fighting villains.
Right.
He's fighting against the very forces that destroyed his homeworld.
Yeah.
That's heavy stuff.
It is.
But it also makes his hope even more powerful, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Knowing what he lost, what Krypton could have been,
Right.
makes his fight for a better tomorrow even more meaningful.
Yeah.
It's like he's carrying the torch for a whole civilization that chose blindness over progress.
Yeah. So I'm getting chills just thinking about it. This is why I love Superman stories.
Yeah.
They can take these big cosmic concepts
Right.
and ground them in really relatable human struggles.
Absolutely.
But even with all these changes, the article argues that this Superman still embodies the essence of what makes the character great.
Right. They point to his working class hero aspect as a prime example.
Okay.
It harkens back to the Golden Age Superman, who was all about fighting corrupt businessmen and championing the common man.
It's funny when you think about it, that's kind of radical even today.
Yeah.
A superhero who's literally fighting for economic justice. That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
Especially in a world where corporate power often seems unstoppable.
It is, and it speaks to the enduring appeal of Superman.
Right.
No matter how much the world changes, there's something about this character, this idea of someone standing up for the powerless, that just resonates.
Totally. But in this absolute universe, even hope itself seems like a superpower.
Right.
And the world is literally shaped by Darkseid's negativity.
Yeah.
How does Superman even begin to push back against that?
That's the question, isn't it? And the article praises the creators for not shying away from that challenge.
Okay.
They acknowledge that this is a darker, more cynical world.
Right.
But they also show that Superman's hope isn't naivete.
Right.
It's a choice, a conscious decision to fight for good, even when all seems lost.
And that choice in this context is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It's not just about optimism. It's about defiance. It's saying, no matter how dark it gets, we won't give up on the possibility of a better tomorrow.
Exactly. And that's a message that I think we can all relate to, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
We're all facing challenges, big and small, that can make it hard to feel hopeful. But seeing Superman, even in this incredibly difficult situation, still choosing to believe, to fight for good, it's inspiring.
It really is. And it makes me think about what makes a Superman story truly pivotal.
Okay.
I know we've been unpacking all these details about this new absolute version.
Right.
But what are those elements that elevate a Superman story
Yeah.
beyond just an adventure
Right.
and into something that truly sticks with you?
That's a great question, and I think it starts with the exploration of Superman's core values. His hope, his unwavering belief in humanity, and his willingness to fight for what's right even when the odds are stacked against him.
Totally. But it can't just be a rehash of familiar themes.
Right.
It needs to push those values to their limits, to challenge them in new and unexpected ways.
Yeah,
Like, what happens when hope itself seems impossible?
exactly. It's about putting Superman in situations that force him to confront difficult questions, to grapple with moral dilemmas that have no easy answers. And that's where this absolute universe really shines.
Right. Like, we see him fighting corporate greed, which is obviously a real-world problem.
Yeah.
But in this universe, it's tied into this larger cosmic struggle against Darkseid's influence.
Right.
It takes the classic Superman conflict and adds this whole other layer of depth and meaning.
It's also interesting to see how they're playing with his relationship with Lois Lane.
Right.
She's not the supportive ally we're used to. She's part of the system working to capture him.
Yeah.
It forces him to confront the possibility that even the people he cares about might not share his vision for a better world.
Man, that's brutal. But it also raises the stakes for their relationship in a really compelling way.
Yeah.
Will he be able to convince her to show her the truth of what's happening?
Right.
Or will she remain blind to it?
It's a question that I think a lot of us can relate to in our own lives.
Yeah.
How do we deal with loved ones who have different beliefs, who maybe don't see the world the way we do?
Right.
Can we bridge that gap, or are some divides just too big to overcome?
These are big questions, and it's cool to see a comic book willing to tackle them head on.
Yeah.
But before we get too lost in the philosophical weeds, I want to bring it back to Superman himself.
Okay.
We've talked about his values, his struggles.
Right.
But what about his actions?
Yeah.
What makes a Superman action sequence truly memorable, truly pivotal?
That's a great point. It's not just about punching things. It's about how those actions reflect his character, his beliefs, and it's about the consequences.
Okay.
A pivotal Superman story needs to have actions that have a real impact on the world, that change things in a meaningful way.
So it's not just about stopping the bad guy.
Right.
It's about inspiring others to fight for good to build a better world.
Exactly. It's about showing that even one person can make a difference, that even in the darkest of times, hope can triumph. And that's a message that I think we all need to hear, especially in today's world.
I couldn't agree more. This absolute Superman, even though he's facing some incredibly daunting challenges,
Yeah.
he's still showing us the power of believing, of fighting for what's right, even when it seems impossible. We've talked about what makes a Superman story, really impactful, truly pivotal.
Right.
And this absolute Superman has definitely given us a lot to think about.
Yeah.
But I want to dig a little deeper into that idea. Like, what are the ingredients, so to speak, that take a Superman story beyond a fun adventure
Okay.
into something that really resonates with readers on a deeper level?
Yeah, I think it starts with Superman himself.
Okay.
A pivotal Superman story needs to push him to his limits, both physically and emotionally.
So it's not just about showcasing his strength, but also his vulnerability?
Exactly. A Superman who never faces real challenges, who always has all the answers, isn't very relatable.
Right.
We need to see him grapple with difficult choices, to make mistakes, to even fail sometimes. It's those moments of vulnerability that make his triumphs all the more meaningful.
And it makes his hope even more powerful.
Right.
Because it's not just blind optimism.
Right.
It's a conscious decision to believe in good even when things are at their darkest.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another key element, the stakes.
Okay.
A pivotal Superman story needs to have stakes that feel real,
Right.
that matter not just to Superman, but to the world he's trying to protect.
So it's not enough to just have him stop a bank robbery or fight some random alien invasion.
Right. Those kinds of threats are fine for a quick adventure.
Okay.
But a truly pivotal story needs to explore something bigger, something that challenges the very foundations of Superman's world or even his own beliefs.
Like in this absolute universe where the world itself is literally shaped by Darkseid's negative energy that raises the stakes to a whole new level, doesn't it?
It does, because now it's not just about defeating a physical enemy.
Right.
It's about fighting against an idea, a force that's woven into the very fabric of reality.
Yeah.
And that forces Superman to confront some really tough questions about the nature of hope, about the limits of his own power.
And that leads us to another important ingredient, the supporting cast.
Yeah.
A pivotal Superman story needs to explore the relationships that define him, the people who ground him, who challenge him, who inspire him.
Absolutely. His relationships with Lois Lane, his parents, his friends, even his enemies, all play a crucial role in shaping who he is and what he stands for.
And those relationships can't just be static.
Right.
They need to evolve, to be tested, to reflect the growth and changes that Superman himself is going through.
Right. And we're seeing that play out in this absolute universe,
Right.
with Lois Lane working for the very corporation that seems to be exploiting the miners Superman is trying to protect. It's a really interesting twist on their classic dynamic.
Yeah.
And it forces us to question whether their love, their shared belief in good,
Right.
can survive such a fundamental difference in perspective.
It's a powerful reminder that even the strongest relationships can be tested,
Yeah.
and that sometimes the people we care about the most can challenge our beliefs in ways we never expected.
Right.
But ultimately, I think what makes a Superman story truly pivotal
Yeah.
is its ability to leave a lasting impact on the reader,
Right.
to introduce new ideas or concepts that enrich the Superman mythos.
I completely agree. It could be a new villain, a new power, or even just a new understanding of Superman's origins or motivations, whatever it is. It needs to be something that adds depth and complexity to the character and his world.
But it needs to resonate with readers on a personal level to make them think about the world around them in new ways.
Exactly. A truly pivotal Superman story isn't just about escapism. It's about using the power of storytelling to explore important themes, to ask tough questions, and to ultimately inspire us to be better versions of ourselves.
Well said. And I think this absolute Superman, with its unique setting,
Yeah.
its thought-provoking themes, and its willingness to challenge our expectations,
Right.
definitely has the potential to be one of those pivotal stories.
I agree. It's a story that grapples with the nature of hope, the power of belief, and the importance of fighting for what's right, even when the odds seem impossible. And those are messages that we could all use a little more of in today's world.
I couldn't have said it better myself, so to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to check out Absolute Superman and draw your own conclusions.
Yeah.
It's a story that's sure to stay with you long after you finish reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the stories that matter most. Until next time, stay curious.